Welcome to the call tonight. I'm going to talk specifically about the triangle of life. It's an amazing formulation of products that are comprised of many, many different types of ingredients. Each one of them is formulated to optimize the performance of generally a major theme or ingredient that's within it. So the three products are, number one, Eternity, number two, Spectramaxx, and number three, FuCoyDon. Now, they each have a reason for their name. Eternity is based upon the ingredient resveratrol, which has gotten quite a bit of publicity. Resveratrol has been extensively researched, and if you go to PubMed.com, you will find that there's about 4,000 clinical studies that have been done on resveratrol. Well, you don't see many studies done on a product unless there's a great deal of potential possibilities or power that's involved with them, and 4,000 studies is just an incredible number. So as we look at these, we realize that these are products that are not just an herbal product or some sort of an ingredient that was found from some place that's very remote that no one's ever heard of before. This product has an enormous amount of scientific research in it, and these clinical studies cost a fortune to do. Most of those of any credibility of all would be $250,000 to $500,000, and some of them would run over $1 million or two or three or five to complete a study. The reason they're studied is, number one, to see that it works, and number two, to see if, in most cases, if the science could develop into a prescription drug. But prescription drugs would be different than the ingredient that was researched, like resveratrol, because you cannot patent a natural ingredient. That's the law. They're God-given. They're here for mankind. What can be patented is a synthetic. And so since it's unique, but the molecular structure is different, it can be patented. And so most pharmaceutical medications are very different than perhaps the ingredient that they found if it was based upon one found in nature. And so with resveratrol, the search goes on. They're trying to find something that will work as well as resveratrol, but so far, to my knowledge, they have not been able to do that. The beautiful thing about resveratrol is it has such an immense amount of power. It's been known for thousands and thousands of years in China, but only recently has science found out about it. And they did it when they were discovering why the French people had less rates of heart attack and cardiovascular disease than the general population of other countries. And they thought they should have had higher because they eat more fatty foods and they smoke a lot and drink quite a bit. And so as they got into it, they found the reason that it is because they drank red wine, which happened to have the ingredient resveratrol in it. So as the science progressed, they started isolating it, increasing the concentration, and then they found it had many more properties beyond that. And the properties that this ingredient had was that it could activate sirtuin genes. And in the sirtuin genes, it's a number of genes in the human genome that were active, and as they did that with animals, they found that their lifespan increased tremendously. But not only did the lifespan increase a great deal, the regenerative powers were so great that animals started, they ended aging, they started growing younger, they started building muscle and bone because the sirtuin genes are actually the genes that grew them from conception to adulthood, but at that time, the idea is that they get switched off or slowed down because the growth mode is over and they're no longer needed. So as they did the research on them, they found out by reactivating the genes that were there or increasing their activity level that animals become stronger, younger, and their life extension was a great deal longer. So the most notable of the research came out of Harvard, and they started going around on television and in magazine articles, and they're saying you can live to be 125 to 150 years old, and you should be able to do that. The idea of dying at average age of about 75 is dying at middle age. So they thought that one of the major factors would be resveratrol in it from the studies they did, and that's what they were advocating. So that's the story behind the discovery. Now, we saw the science and the discoveries here at SISEL, and we decided that we would make a formulation based upon resveratrol. There's a lot of problems with resveratrol because it's so reactive, and quite frankly, if you take it into your system, most of it is destroyed before it gets through the digestive tract. It reacts with heat, air, and also oxygen, and very quickly. And just, you might think of it like when you cut an apple or a potato and you see it start to brown quickly. Resveratrol does it much faster than even that. So to keep the biological activity effective, researchers at Harvard had to do some things. But then they also found that with resveratrol, it didn't work just by itself. There were 3 other ingredients or types of ingredients that were very powerful with it. And scientifically speaking, I know this is difficult for the call, but the ingredients are called, there's the resveratrol is the primary one, and then along with it comes some ingredients called catechins and polyphenols, and those are very important in the process of working together with resveratrol. And you have primarily some other ingredients like catalase, an antioxidant with it that was very powerful and effective. And synergistically, they created a powerful group of ingredients which made the overall formulation work better. So Harvard went on and developed this formulation, and then they sold the technology to GlaxoSmithKline for about, if I remember correctly, it was about $730 million. That's a lot of money. But their idea was, of course, to take that technology and cut maybe 10 years or so off the process of getting a new drug approval and using it to support a synthetic molecule. And all that research has to be done because now it takes about 13, 15, maybe even 20 years to get a new drug approval through the Food and Drug Administration, and the cost can be $1 billion or $2. So it's very expensive, and this cut the time frame down. So that technology was sold. But as I looked at the technology, I thought, well, you know what, we can't make drug claims on this, and we can't use the same formulation that they have, but there's a lot of science behind this, enough so that we think we can make a product that is very powerful to support the human body in optimizing, or more optimizing, its health and its performance levels with a formulation based upon these ingredients. So we took them and made some blends together on the science that we found and came up with a product called Eternity. We think it's extremely powerful, but now's a good time for us to make this point. We cannot say that any of the studies that were done on it contributes to the formula we made. The Food and Drug Administration and other Ministry of Health say you can use ingredients even at levels that are tested and proven to be effective, but when you combine them together, you cannot make a statement based upon what each individual ingredient does. You must retest your formulation because it's possible the results would be different or better, and which logically they would be. One could counteract another one, or they could add to it so that the total was greater than the sum of the parts or lesser accordingly. So that's the way the laws are set up. But according to DSHEA, that's the Dietary Supplemental Health Education Act, you can use these studies to show what the ingredients do in a product, and as long as they're presented independently, and then the consumer or the user can make their own decision as to whether they think this product might have health benefits for them that they would like to have in these following areas. So with ours, we designed a formulation which I think is the most powerful formulation in the world to support the body's ability, which it does have, to live a very long length of time, to regenerate, to rebuild itself. The Chinese have a saying that the human body has the potential to live a very long time and be very healthy if you give it the proper nutrients and remove the toxins and the waste. Well, that's fundamental, and that's what they call natural medicine or alternative medicine, or the Food and Drug Administration likes to call it complementary medicine. Okay, so if you are what you eat, then some products have some enormous biological properties that your body can use and convert to become much healthier. And that's what we did with the Eternity formulation. So based upon the science, we constructed our own individual formulation which supports the body's ability to live to a great length of time, to have incredible health and energy levels. That potential is there, and we believe this product will do that. And so our Eternity product is our first one in the triangle of life, and it is the key one to supporting the body's ability as genes are affected by food and nutrients that we eat, so that we could have the potential to live much, much longer and much healthier. And so that's the basis of which we have built Eternity. Now, we cannot make a claim that you can live to be 150 on Eternity, as they may on a drug claim, or a potential living up to that period of time. What we can do is we can say it can support the body in its ability to live to a great length of time. We can say the human body, now the human genome has been mapped, has the potential to live to be 150. So if you use good nutrition and some of these that are alternative and complementary medicines to feed your body's systems, which may need this type of nutritional power to be much more effective. I mean, after all, you can't build concrete without cement or without stone, so it's part of the equation, and that's the way that we say it. To be legally compliant with Eternity, and quite candidly, the tests have not been done on it, so we can say it, but we can say it gives intensive support to the human body to live to a great length of life, and to potentially live that long, and to have health benefits which can keep you feeling great, full of energy, and all of that is the potential of Eternity. So that's the first step in it. The second step is Spectramaxx. Spectramaxx comes from two ideas put together. One of it is free radicals. Now, many of you probably know what they are and many don't. Free radicals are things that oxidize us. It's probably the biggest single health hazard that we have in today's world. There's about 2,200 groups of free radicals. They contribute to hundreds or thousands of different health deteriorations. They're thought to be the major cause of cancer, of aging, of deterioration in the body, because they attack our tissues and oxidize it. And so they're called oxidizers, or free radicals. They're hungry for electrons, and they rob it from your body and break down the tissues and the functions so that they cannot work any longer, and they're thought to be able to decay the DNA to where you can have conditions that happen like diabetes or stroke or cancer or any of those. And much of that is thought to be, that's the hypotheses, the free radical theory of oxidizers or free radicals. Now, if they're oxidizers, then in the world of nature, and there is a group of different ingredients that about 2,200 different types of free radicals that will respond to quite a variety of antioxidants. So free radicals are oxidizers, and so in nature there's a group of antioxidants. And we think we have put together a complementary array of these, about 42 different combinations of antioxidants that can intercept and destroy or neutralize free radicals. Now, it's quite a complex thing, and you hear companies that have antioxidants, and they say, well, they destroy free radicals and they have the highest historic value. And people come to me and say that all the time. Our antioxidant has the highest historic value, and I will always say to them, in what category? And what we get is silence. They don't know that there are many categories of antioxidants or free radicals, and that antioxidants work good in some categories and perhaps not in others, or to a lesser degree. So to say it has the high historic value really doesn't mean a lot to anyone. What it means of science, it means it's good in one category. So if there are 2,200 different groups of free radicals in our environment, many of them, when they're neutralized by a antioxidant, will create another free radical. Vitamin C is a good example. If you it neutralizes from free radicals. And some people say, well, I don't need antioxidants. I take vitamin C. Okay, for what category? See what I mean? So, but when vitamin C neutralizes an oxidizer, a free radical, it creates another one. And so another type of antioxidant has to come in and neutralize it. And it can create another one. And the cascade goes down about 4 steps until the free radical is neutralized. So if you want to have an effective formulation, you would want a variety of antioxidants that not only would neutralize free radicals, but they would always also follow the cascade all the way down until all of the free radicals, or as many as possible, were neutralized. And that's what we've done. We think we can get most, if not perhaps all, of the free radicals that are in our environment, and even breathing in air, of course, creates free radicals. It's one of the major things. If we have antioxidants within our bodies that neutralize those, or we would age maybe 10 years for every year we lived if we didn't have a large amount of these antioxidants. We're just combating oxygen. But there are so many more in our environment. And cancer now, as an example, if the free radical theory is correct, which I think everyone believes it is, and maybe it's beyond a theory now, but cancer rates used to be so obscure. The University of Massachusetts analyzed the mummies for cancer from all over the world, and out of over 10,000 mummies, they found one that had a case of cancer that they had died from. And so they said cancer is a man-made disease, and of course that is true to a large degree. Sunlight, of course, creates cancer, so that's not a man-made disease, but breathing in causes that, so that's another. But overall, most of the tremendous increase, we believe, that has come along with cancers and diabetes and strokes and heart attacks and that are caused from many of the outside chemicals that our ancestors never had to face before. For example, a puff of cigarette smoke creates about 100 quadrillion free radicals. Can you imagine that number in a puff of cigarette smoke in our body? So no wonder we have so many health hazards from smoking. So what we did is we put together in concentration this vast array of antioxidants to protect your body to the best we think of the ability of these antioxidants to do so in the widest variety of auric values that is possible, and to follow the cascade all the way down. So that's half the formula in Spectramaxx. So it's broad spectrum array of antioxidants. The other part is we put in essential trace minerals. And Linus Pauling, he won 2 Nobel Prizes, one in science and one in politics. But anyway, he was a foremost advocate of vitamin C and a number of other things. But he said you can trace almost every disease to trace mineral deficiency. And a lot of us don't even think about that. But if we are what we eat, there's about 70-some essential trace minerals that are in soil. They're trace because they're not major minerals like calcium and magnesium and ingredients like that make up the bone. There's about 7 major minerals for the bone. These are trace minerals. But they're called essential because they're essential to about 2,000 different biological processes that go in our body. And so if those essential trace minerals are not there, then those reactions don't happen, or they wait until trace minerals are there, and our health can deteriorate seriously, we believe, and scientists believe, from the lack of essential trace minerals. Well, you get them from food, but because soils have been so over-farmed for so many years, they're now trace mineral deficient. In fact, as the Food and Drug Administration says here in the United States, that soils from 100, 150 years ago now have lost about 75% of their essential trace minerals due to over-farming. Because trace minerals aren't created, they're inorganic. So once they're taken out of the soil, they're absorbed by whatever food we're producing from the soil. It could be grass that a cow eats, or it could be a carrot or potato or a peach or anything like that. It takes up the essential trace minerals from the soil, and as you harvest that fruit or that vegetable or even eat the beef, away goes those trace minerals from the soil, and they go into your body. But now, because they're not replaced in the soil, every crop removes more and more of them, and there's less and less in the soil. And you find that crops now don't grow nearly as well as they used to, so they have to fertilize them to get the size and the look with them. And as a result, foods, we say, are hollow foods. They're essentially, in the area, we estimate, about 75% deficient in trace mineral. So what are we going to do? Well, we have cravings for trace minerals. It may be one of the reasons that we eat more, because our body is trying to get more of these essential trace minerals into our body. But we can't eat 4 plates of food rather than 1, can we? So it's really important to supplement these essential trace minerals, just as it is to supplement these antioxidants to combat the vast array of free radicals that are now in our environment that didn't used to be there. On the other side of it, we're supplementing with essential trace minerals to replace the essential trace minerals that our food used to have in it. So that's what Spectramaxx is made up of. Plus it has some other natural vitamins and different types of phytonutrients in it to provide other biological support with it. And it's combined with an ingredient called organic fulvic acid. And when it combines with essential trace minerals, it's what makes them so effective, because organic fulvic acid is actually the chemical that's created by the plant by taking sunlight, splitting the photons, putting in its sugar, secreting it through the roots in the soil, and microbes then feed on it and create fulvic acid, which breaks down essential trace minerals into the smallest little particles so they can be absorbed up through the plant, and they're attached to this fulvic acid, this fulvate molecule. And because it's organic, then it makes it from inorganic minerals. They're only somewhere around 3% absorbable, and studies show that when combined with fulvic acid, they might be 97% absorbable, high absorption from low absorption. So just ingesting trace minerals doesn't mean most of them are going to get there. They need to have an organic attachment so that our cells on our body will recognize it as nutrients the way that nature provided it and take it in. So we've made it very complex but simple to understand. I'm just giving you a more detailed explanation. So Spectramaxx is comprised of the phytonutrients and vitamins, of course. Then it has the 42 types of antioxidants to combat free radicals and the cascade. Then we have 74 essential trace minerals combined with organic fulvic acid to provide the photonic energy of the sun and to deliver the minerals through the digestive system to the cells of the body, so you get lots of them in the cells. That's the theory that we have done it on. So now we have stage 2 in the triangle of life. Stage 3 is called FuCoyDon, and we have printed that name in the Chinese pronunciation of it, but it's actually spelled FuCoidan. That's the scientific molecule. While organic fulvic acid that we use in Spectramaxx is listed, and you can see it on the internet or places, as nature's miracle molecule, the amazing power of FuCoyDon, which is also a molecule, is perhaps one of the greatest in all of the world too. And there are fulvates grow are created in a brown seaweed, and they're found in various oceans around the world. And the most important one of them is found in Tonga, because there's about 3 varieties of FuCoyDon molecules. And there's a U, a G, and an F. Those are the varieties: FuCoyDon U, FuCoyDon G, FuCoyDon F. And they all have similar but different functions. And they're very, very powerful nutritional support beyond anything I have ever seen in my life. And there's a book on the internet, you can look into it, called The Amazing Power of FuCoyDon. If you bought that book, you would be, and showed that to people, and it shows the studies, it's legal to do it, with to show it, you would see the immense power that is in FuCoyDon. There's also scientific studies showing that FuCoyDon that occurs in nature is about 1 out of every 8 molecules is active, because it has a sulfur attachment to it. It's called sulfonated FuCoyDon, or sulfonated fucose. I don't want to get very scientific with you, but that's what it's called. So as we found that, then we started looking into it, and I found a way to be able to sulfonate the FuCoyDon molecule. And so now we think we're getting most, if not all, of the FuCoyDon molecule sulfonated in a patented process that I developed. And so with that, I've got perhaps 20 different patents on FuCoyDon. I've got about a dozen or so on Eternity. And for 2 years in a row, I received the Genius of the Year Award from the Patent Lawyers Association for the work that I'd done on FuCoyDon 1 year, Eternity the other year. And so we have some powerful science. A patent doesn't mean that anything necessarily works, but it's a unique way. So don't miss of saying something or protecting it. So don't confuse the drug approval with the patent approval. They're not the same. But I have all of these patents to protect this precious science that we have. Now the FuCoyDon has these molecules, and what they do is they support with intense amounts of power, and we've intensified it, of course, with this sulfonization process, and we've concentrated it just as we have done with the ingredients are highly concentrated in Eternity, in Spectramaxx, and also in FuCoyDon. We're just not using the natural ingredient by itself as it occurs in nature. We extract it and concentrate it many, many times, so maybe 100 times, maybe sometimes more than that, to where we have the immense amount of power that science is showing really works, and sometimes we go beyond what is even shown in the studies. That doesn't mean we can claim that it does it. We can claim it supports the body, and what it does is FuCoyDon supports the body in two particular ways that rounds out the triangle of life. One is that it is for the immune system, and it has immense potential for the immune system like nothing else on earth. The amazing power of FuCoyDon is just that. It has incredible power for support and potential to support the immune system. The other is it has a tremendous ability to support the body's fight against inflammation, which in today's society is a lot worse than it ever used to be because of the many environmental factors that we live within it that cause inflammation. So much of disease, the disease causes inflammation, which does the damage. So FuCoyDon, as a complementary or an alternative medicine, is a powerful ingredient to be an anti-inflammatory. So it gives that body that anti-inflammatory support it needs for its system, or should have, we believe, to be able to fight inflammation and also to support with incredible power the different aspects of the immune system for a wide variety of applications. It also has the potential to, as a cell signaler, and it's thought to be able to relay chemical messages to the different biological systems in the body that it's looking for in a nutritional supplement to be able to be more effective in following its normal processes and procedures. So that is the third corner of the triangle of life, FuCoyDon. So now I'll recap those very simply. If you want support for your body, these three things, I believe, are the most essential. Then you can add other things to it according to your biological condition or your heredity or environment or wherever you're at in life, your age and that. Of course, the older we get, the more we decay. If we can end the decay, you see, that would be a big factor, isn't it? And so where people die at 75, the Food and Drug Administration, which regulates that, says people don't die of old age. How could they? That's middle age. They die of some disease. Sometimes they might say it's incident to aging, and of course they are. We think by the time a person gets between 40 or 50, and many scientists do, that the disease that will kill them eventually starts to take hold. Because aging is not a disease. Aging is an accumulation of decay and a lack of sufficient regeneration of cells to equal or surpass the degeneration of cells that's occurring due to many processes within the body which are slowing down, being decayed or damaged or atrophying. And so to reverse aging, if you could stop the decay and increase regeneration above degeneration, you should grow younger. And that's the theory of reversing aging. And, of course, it takes lots of other things to do that with it because, you know, proteins for muscles and organs and omega-3 oils and vitamins and all of the types of minerals and all of these things, they all play a part in whatever your health is. And so those are little things that can be added. They can fill up the center of the triangle of life, is how I would say it. You have the triangle of life with three corners with eternity, Spectramaxx, and FuCoyDon, and you can fill it up with all of these other little ingredients. They're not little, they're immensely powerful that you might need. Energy for him or for her to support masculine or feminine biological systems. Encompass 360, tremendous food for brain nutrients, for the body, for these nutrients. That it's like a mega multivitamin far beyond RDAs with what it has, immense power for that. Super omega-3, so important to the brain. And there are a number of products that will fill up the center for what your needs are, so that these three systems working together have got the proper support also to provide to the body for whatever your particular condition is. But in retrospect, to go back to the triangle of life, it essentially is eternity to support the sirtuin genes, the genes that grew you, that made you very healthy, and that built cells, regenerated cells very fast. This is nutritional support for them on a scale never seen before, except the Chinese knew about it for thousands of years, and they got it from Chinese knotweed, a root. But now they found it in red wine too, especially in the skin. So now that ingredient's there in massive concentration with the other three ingredients that are important with it, the catalase, the polyphenols, and the catechins, all of those. So anyway, that's eternity for supporting the youthful regenerative systems of your body. Number two, Spectramaxx, to provide intensive support for the number of free radicals that are causing so much decay and disease. The 2,200 groups, we got 42. And then we have the essential trace minerals, to provide the essential trace minerals that food is 75% deficient in, and they're essential to life and to biological function. So we have that product combined with organic fulvic acid, nature's miracle molecule, if you will. And then the third one is FuCoyDon, to provide incredible support for your immune system. The power of nature is not any greater in anything I've ever seen than it is in FuCoyDon for the immune system. And to provide powerful support to your body to fight inflammation, which is the big causer of most effects from diseases and aging and damage like that. So that's what the triangle of life is about. Those three basic ingredients: eternity to support youthful regeneration, Spectramaxx to supplement essential trace minerals that soil is so deficient in, and to provide an abundance of antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals that are attacking our body in such tremendous numbers, and FuCoyDon to support the immune system at an incredible level and to support the body's anti-inflammatory system with massive support in it. That's what the system is all about, and that's why we call it the triangle of life. You couldn't put them all in one bottle. They're so concentrated, so diverse, so we have them in all three. Which can you use? 1, 2, or 3? Well, 3 is the best because it gives you such a wide variety for what your body needs. And that's what we recommend if you want the optimal support, in our opinion, for health, for anti-aging, for supporting life extensions, for supporting the body's ability to fight against so many of the things that these powerful nutritive support with these immensely effective ingredients that are found in nature are put together in these formulations. Now, we can't make the claims that some companies do or that clinical studies show they do. We can just say it supports the human body in this. But you can look up the studies yourself, and we're going to have scientific pages for you to do it, to look at it, and you will see, and you can see for yourself, there is nothing in the world like these products, in my opinion. They are tremendously powerful. We've overbuilt them and to the point of where you've got such an abundance with them to support your body. And for whatever your aging or your physical condition is, we think we have got the best nutritional support for it, but you'll have to be the judge on it. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as the English say. And so we think after 3 and 4 months on the Triangle of Life, it's not going to happen quick, but you're going to start seeing distinct changes that are so self-evident, you'll want to keep these powerful nutrients, this array of 3, the Triangle of Life, in your system for the rest of your hopefully very long life, and then fortify it with the other ingredients. And then if you want to rewind the biological time clock, don't forget about TSX with its immense power. So that's my message for tonight on the Triangle of Life. Hopefully it has explained it much more thoroughly to you. We're going to have a video and we'll have some other information for it and scientific support to provide all of this information to validate what we're saying, so that according to Deshay, you can look it up, see what it does, the ingredients, and say, well, they're all in this, so it looks like something that would be very good for me, and we think it is too.
Standing in a brand new place, I feel the sunshine on my face, the weather's good, the day is bright, I watch it turn from dark to light and keep the music going, keep the good times rolling.